Okay, short meditation. From the unreal, lead us to the real. From darkness, lead us to light. From death, lead us to immortality. Okay, let us start. So, with a very good recommendation by Medicare, we can use the documents, the commentary by John Algo. This was actually published in American Theosophies in November 1984. Okay, so I think as we are doing a study group, there will be discussions and stuff like that. So it will be good we could actually have raised hands before we could speak, right? But the thing is, now we would want to read by paragraphs. So I think we could actually have the participants to read the paragraphs. So we would actually go through the paragraphs bit by bit and actually analyze and discuss about what is actually written.
So I can start with first, and Abhinav can take the second, and Smita can take the third one, and so on.
Okay, we can just start reading the first paragraph first.
Yes.
And then we take a look at it.
Yes. So I start.
Yeah.
The ancient wisdom, or perennial philosophy, as it has also been called, is a body of teachings that imply a way of behaving. Through the doctrine of karma, the tradition's emphasis on personal responsibility for one's decisions and actions creates an ethics that is individual, situational, and relative, rather than categorical and absolute. Thus, it is futile to look for a 10 commandments of the ancient wisdom, some list of specific things that one should or should not do.
Thank you, Merike. So does anyone actually understand or know what the ancient wisdom is?
Wisdom that has still living, though it's very, 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 very old.
Okay.
Svetislav have raised it.
Sorry.
Please, Svetislav.
there is an allegory of the white light that is present inside each all the religious traditions and philosophies are like rays of the spectrum, colorful rays, and they all come from the white light. And inside them, the essence is that white light. So that is the ancient wisdom or perennial philosophy, or theosophy, as you call it, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Svet. So the thing is, it is interesting that this ancient wisdom is claimed, according to the first line, that it has also been called. It's a body of teachings that imply a way of behaving. Does anyone think that the ancient wisdom really relates to as a kind of way of behaving?
Yes, I mean, all wisdom is only like you could have like theoretical knowledge and it becomes a wisdom while you have applied it, while you have tried to live it and make it your own. So it's like your like a life experience. So it cannot be wisdom unless you have tried to behave according to it. Like this is like a one way to understand.
Anyone else? Yeah, Leo.
Well, I think that to me, the ancient wisdom means that you live according to the law of life or the laws of nature or the laws of universe, whichever way that you say. Or in another definition, the ancient wisdom is the same name as perennial philosophy. Also, the same name is Gnostic. Also, the same name is Sufism. And then in modern world, the modern language, we say Theosophy.
Thank you, Leo. Anyone else? Abhinav.
Okay. So what this reminds me of is a term which we use to refer to the what we now call religion of Hinduism. The name for Hinduism in Sanskrit or in the local language is Sanatana Dharma, meaning that which is eternal, and again the word dharma is used. Contextually, the word dharma can have multiple meanings. So based on the first line or the first sentence, which talks about a way of behaving, I think I can connect it with the term Sanatana Dharma.
Thank you, Abhinav. Okay. So on the second line, through the doctrine of karma, the tradition's emphasis on personal responsibility for one's decision and actions creates an ethics that is individual, situational, and relative, rather than categorical and absolute. What does it mean by the emphasis on personal responsibility based on the doctrine of karma? Abhinav.
Seeming to imply that life is not already predetermined, so it is all dependent on cause-effect relationship. Based on what we do, we get, not because it has already been determined for us by somebody else.
Anyone?
I think it is also a little bit determined because the karma, like, because you got into the situations, but what you are doing onwards, that the karma is like it has begun long time ago and it's still ongoing. But right now, in this moment, I can change the things, how I react to it, not the things, the outcome of it, but the responsibility that I actually can change something about it. Yeah.
Actually, based on this, you know, I used to attend a Dharma class. The class was actually talking about how our current situation was decided by the past, and what we are going to do now will decide the future. And some part of the future is also dependent of what has happened before, in the past. So I think what Medicaid says and what Abhinav has said, both actually are very true. Because although a set of karma has been assigned to us in every lifetime, every reincarnation or every birth, there are actually ways or methods that we could not create more karma when receiving it. Right, I think I'm not too sure about it. Many of us, if we actually do watch a lot of movies or shows, that would be more obvious than what would be happening to us. You could see that there could be things that happen because of the actions of the past. People taking revenge, and then because of that revenge, it caused a vengeance, like trying to fight back or kill someone else back again, and then it goes on, and you never end. And then for whatever reason, the lead actor or actress reacts. It causes a whole new wave of problems again. So I think there are a lot of Netflix shows. I think there are like 10 seasons. All the 10 seasons is just going through the same stuff over and over again. I try to kill this group of people trying to kill me, and then the new group of people try to avenge the people that were killed. And then it just keep going on and on and on and on.
But something happens on turning that it's going on and on, but if there's no like growth for the main character or some of the characters, then it's not interesting. It's just not interesting to follow it 10 seasons. But if there's something going on, if you can see like these things that was really a big trouble in the beginning is now like a small things that you can do while, you know, walking towards something else. So it's like, it's the growth, I think, that is important.
And the thing is, before Leo speaks, I think, and it's also like only when all of the people has a common enemy or threat, then mostly they will actually start to work together and try and forget all the vengeance, all the revenge and all the stuff, all the backstories. Okay, Leo.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Who Leos?
Leonardus and Leo.
Yeah, Leonardus here. So,
Yes.
in terms of the personal responsibility, I see it as like in relation to the classic understanding of God, that because I was born Catholic, and it is always God's plan. If there is anything bad, it is God doing this, and if there is something good, it is from God. But this personal responsibility puts everything back on us individually. That it is us who makes all of this doing, and it is us for us to fix it, for us to actually determine what is, like what Francis mentioned just now. So, that's my perspective about personal responsibility.
Thanks. Like,
Well, before I say something, I just assume that everyone agrees and believes in the doctrine of karma. So if there's no belief in karma, then the whole discussion about karma will not make any sense. So I just deliberately assume that everyone agrees on karma. And karma here, I just want to say to tell you about my understanding of karma. Karma in another name means the law of mercy or the law of justice. Or if you put it in a scientific way, karma means if such and such conditions are met, such and such will happen. So let's say if you throw a seed of a flower on the soil, and then you water it, then one day definitely a flower will come up and it will bloom. So that's karma. So the emphasis on the personal responsibility means that if we believe in karma, and karma is linked to reincarnation, which means that whatever we experience in this life, whatever happens to us, is actually the responsibility overdue for us due to our past lives' actions. And this time around, in this life, when things happen to us, is karma. However, the free will happens when karma occurs to you. We do have the free will to choose how we're going to face it or how you're going to deal with it, or your attitude of yourself facing karma, like no resentment, or you're not going to say this is God's will, or you're not going to say that I don't deserve this. That's what's my take. So if we put everything on God, if something good happens, it's God's will. If something bad happened, then somebody will say that how can I believe in God if God make me suffer so much? So I think that at the end of the day, it goes down to the personal responsibility.
thanks. It's a good one. Okay. So now, interestingly, this line here, thus it is futile to look for 10 commandments of the ancient wisdom, some list of specific things that one should or should not do. So, referring to the first, with reference to the first line, that it is actually a body of teachings that imply a way of behaving. But yet, in this line, it talks about it is futile to look for a list of specific things that one should or should not do. What's your view on that contrast?
Abhinav.
Abhinav?
I think you should also look at the previous sentence. That is, on the fourth line, it says an ethics that is individual, situational, and relative, rather than categorical and absolute. I think that is what is the intention, and 10 Commandments is only an example for that. So, in this context, I think if you were to look up for the definition for dharma, at least as far as I know, you will notice that there is so much of literature regarding what is to be done and what is not supposed to be done. But when you start studying dharma from the perspective of, say, the epics like Ramayana or Mahabharata, I have seen that there is no absolute way to behave. It's all, the decision is based on the circumstance, and it is not like this is the only way to do something. So it is mostly like a guideline, which is trying to take us towards harmony. It is not like one absolute path that you can choose, and there is no alternative at all. So,
Oh, well said. Thanks. Shret?
I think, yes, basically the same idea. The ancient wisdom has the, I would say, a noumenon of all the moral precepts that we can find in all the traditions, all over the cultures, and so on and so on, and all the spiritual traditions and religious traditions, they have like a partial individual, how to say, incarnation of that general intention, according to individual conditions, situational conditions, relative conditions, and so on. So yeah, they like it incarnates. This wisdom incarnates specifically in different situations in this way or in that way. And also we might think that there is this word specific, some list of specific things that one should or should not do, because specific is always depends on the situation. But there are all sorts of lists of things that are very, very valuable that we can find that contains the ancient wisdom in them somehow. And another thing to add is that intention is always, I think, something that determines what is good, what is bad, more than the actual external action. Thank you.
Thanks. That's a good one. Leo?
Yeah, so for me, the 10 Commandments of ancient wisdom is not really useful to have 10 commandments of the ancient wisdom, because if you guys have read the books for the like theosophical literature, then we do know about the evolution of consciousness, and the evolution of consciousness never ends. So far, we don't know where's the destination. We don't know. We just know that we go back to the source, but then the evolution of consciousness is keep going. So if we have a list of specific things, let's say 10 commandments, it will suit us during this lifetime or maybe the next 5 lifetimes. But then to a certain point of evolution of our own consciousness, we will outgrow that list of specific things. So let's say in the very early age of Christianity, there's 10 commandments in the Bible. And then for the Buddhism in a very early age, there are only like 5 precepts or 5 commandments in Buddhism. But once we have, lived according to that, you evolved or you develop to a certain point of time or a stage of your evolution consciousness, then it's time for you to take further step. So that's why if there's no fixed formula for 10 commandments or whatever of the ancient wisdom, it needs to grow over time.
Leo?
I think there is no 10 commandments, but there is a certain language and it talks in pain. So isn't it? So whatever that we do wrong before, it comes as pain, and then after that it gives us the impetus for us to fix something. And yeah, and it is consistent throughout all lifetime. Pain is the same now, the same in the future, the same in like 1,000 years ago in our previous lives, I guess.
I think that maybe, can you please define what does it mean by pain?
Like suffering in that sense is like when I did something wrong, then there is, it's not like punishment, but it's more like the consequence of something that didn't align. That is like if the law is like a wall, then it's like the pain of banging into the wall, and then I feel something, there is an impact, I shouldn't go there anymore, and then I know what is aligned, what is misaligned. Like if I fall, then I have a bruise, that is pain, and then I know that that falling is not the right state. That's my understanding at least.
I think that pain is more about we desire something and we don't have it, or we fear something and that thing happens to us. So it goes down to either desire or fear, and that's the roots of samsara anyway.
Isn't that part of law of karma also, that we learn this?
Karma is just the law of the universal law of life. However, karma, when we say that karma is because we in samsara, that's why we have karma. And why we are in samsara is just because of desire, of ignorance. That's why we are in this cycle of samsara.
Yes, I think pain here can signify suffering that happens when one part of us betrays another part of us. So we have two parts, and one wants one thing, and the other wants another thing, and then we really know what is better. We really know what should be done, but when we don't do it, as I think Saint Paul said very famously, the good that I want to do, I don't do, and the bad what I don't want to do, I do. So this, there is a factor in us that creates problems for us, and that creates certain moral suffering, moral kind of pain. Maybe that's the idea, and it's very interesting view. I think that this universal language, when we violate the call of our true self, we experience some suffering. That's very interesting, I think. Thank you.
It's a good one. I think the part
I,
about pain, like
I,
how
I
it,
have
okay, Abhinav. Too small, sorry, I didn't see.
Okay. I think this paragraph brings up a very interesting dimension of understanding what is right and what is not. Because I think right now Leo mentioned how as we evolve, uh, we understand that the definitions are also changing. Like what was actually 10 commandments later starts becoming more fluid in nature. So it means that the conception of ethics is no longer very static in nature, it's more dynamic. So you can never decide this alone is right and that alone is wrong. So as we evolve, the sense of what is right and wrong also starts evolving. It becomes dynamic, which may not be easy for the person who is unaware, who is more what you call uh, unconcentrated, like who is not ready to pay attention to it. For these people, a very static definition of ethics is necessary. But as we start evolving, our definitions of ethics also evolve with us, and therefore we become more and more aware of what is ethics and what is right and what is wrong. So it starts becoming very dynamic. I think it's very similar to having training wheels when you are riding a bicycle. So the initial stages, you only have to look forward, don't turn anywhere. But as you start riding the bicycle much better, you no longer need training wheels. You no longer need to focus on following only lines on the road. You can even put complex shapes on the road. So I think it is also an indicator of that stasis versus dynamism. Just like how as we evolve, the stasis becomes more dynamic. So
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I do agree that everything is actually fluid and dynamic. Whatever we think that might be right yesterday could be wrong today. And and this is usually because of things that are happening in our life and what Leo has been talking about pain. That's literally what will teach you what not to do or you should be doing again and again in the future of your life. Right, for example, I had a very good memory about how, the Chinese tradition, we like to burn incense paper during festivals, and we'll have a little tin that we'll drop the paper into the fire. And all my life, all my 5 years life then, my parents always say, do not go too near to that. And I just don't care. I just playing around, running in circle. Even after they stopped burning, the fire was still there, and they just closed the lid on. It's still hot. I was just running around, and then I had my hand onto the body of the tin. That's when I will remember for life what is the power of heat and fire. And the thing is, what's interesting is that most of the time in our lives, we are very unconscious of the pain that we are going through. It's not so obvious like how we would touch a hot surface of a pot or tin, right? We have to go through, some people have to go through many relationships to realize that relying on someone else to feel complete, it's not a very, it's not a permanent solution. Everything changes. People dies. Family pass on. Family and friends passes on. Nothing is forever. So this actually is one of my own lesson as well. So there's so many different things that might be so subtle, but only after a few more times when it happens that we start to realize. And then we will be the ones that says, my life has been this and that, and when I was your age, this happened before. We become old next time, we'll be doing this kind of stuff. They should.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting idea. I thought about it some time ago a little, that we can actually suffer but not realize that we're suffering. It can actually happen a lot, and one reason why it can happen maybe is because we have nothing really to compare it with. We do not have in this life experience of sustained, real, true happiness. And another reason why it can happen maybe is because the factors of inner suffering can accumulate very gradually over a long period of time, fluctuating, so we get used to that, and we don't even recognize that. That's, I think, very interesting. Thank you.
I think not only that, if we actually do have friends and families that's always around us that doesn't consider those sufferings as sufferings, we would not think that it is a problem as well. So it becomes a cultural kind of thing. And then we could actually meet, like let's say for example, we could actually go for the youth gatherings and we start to discuss and talk. We start to realize the difference in culture do bring to surface some of the things that we do not consider as issues or pain or sufferings. And it starts to come out. So that's the power of socializing. And that's why we are here. Okay. And the thing is, the part about these commandments, drawing reference again to my classes that I went before and the study class that we did in Sydney before as well, is that do you realize that criminal laws are always referring or of reference to morals? Criminal law. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, okay, but for example, murdering or killing someone, there's one. Then of course, theft. Not too sure about other stuff, or maybe fraud, or lying to someone else on purpose, and stuff like that. So like, I think morals are one of the key things that started for modern civilizations, how law and order comes into place. And then the part about, for my background, Buddhism, we actually have precepts, right? I think for the common people are actually 5 precepts that we can take. So the first thing is no killing, and then no alcohol or drugs, no untruthful speech or gossips, or unvaluable speech. Unvaluable, that means nonsense speech. And then stealing and sexual misconduct. Precepts, the basic ones for common people. And then there comes a time where my classmate asked the teacher, so what if there are cockroaches or mosquitoes flying or came into my house? Can I actually kill it? And then the teacher says, it's actually up to you, because the key thing is your intent. Right? Someone mentioned intent just now. Like if you actually want to remove the cockroach because it causes hygienic problems, it could cause health problems to everyone else. Hello, Fatima. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello.
So, and the thing is, if you do decide to want to take action against, so to speak, if I mean unalive any living thing, we have to be conscious about the decision that we make and be conscious of the karma that we are going to undertake. It's a conscious action. And then, of course, someone else said, another classmate actually mentioned, or you could actually just keep your house clean so the cockroaches will never get into your house. So keep it clean such that it's not conducive for pests to come in. So you do not have to resort to even decide if you should remove the pests from your space. 8 precepts, that's right. The 8th one is the more hardcore one. Sweat, that's right. Like the common people in my class, just being introduced into Dharma or Buddhism is usually 5 first. Beginner. All right, thanks. So we have a little bit of time to read the second paragraph. Is that going to be up enough?
Okay, so
Right.
to be sure, certain general principles of this philosophy inherited from the Indic tradition have been extremely influential in modern thought. Principles like ahimsa, harmlessness, or viveka, discrimination, and vairagya, dispassion. Such concepts have developed a wealth of ethical associations around them. But more specific than these is a short statement published by H.P. Blavatsky called The Golden Stairs.
Thank you, Abhinav. Does anyone here doesn't know what the Golden Stairs is? Yes, no, yes, no. Okay, let me show you a little bit.
That would be stairs made of gold, I assume.
Spiritual gold. I suppose. So it goes like that, right? The Golden Stairs, a preface. Behold the truth before you. A clean life, an open mind, a pure heart, an eagle intellect, an unveiled spiritual perception, a brotherliness for one's co-disciple, a readiness to give and receive advice and instruction, a loyal sense of duty to the teacher, a willing obedience to the behest of truth, once we have placed our confidence in and believe that teacher to be in possession of it, a courageous endurance of personal injustice, a brave declaration of principles, a valiant defense of those who are unjustly attacked, and a constant eye to the ideal of human progression and perfection which the secret science, Gupta Vidya, depicts. These are the golden stairs up the steps of which the learner may climb to the temple of divine wisdom. So in total is 13 ethics, I think, as what's mentioned in this commentary. So, does anyone know what is the Indic tradition? I'm looking at Abhinav. Okay. Okay, but the thing is, anyone could actually talk about a little bit about the principles of Himsa, Viveka, and Vairagya.
I mean, I can start a little bit.
Okay.
Ahimsa, that you try to not kill. Living in a human or physical body, it is not totally possible. Even if I, from the tap, I run some hot water and there's some insects that I don't see in the pipes get hurt. So I cannot leave it, but I have to try at least towards this. And the Viveka is the discrimination and between what we discriminate. I think at the feet of the master, very easily, simply it is said, between the real and the unreal, but also between that is what is important and what is less important. And vairagya, this passion, this is something that becomes, if the other things have been a little bit evolved, I think you cannot really start with this passion, but this is something like that if you have been long enough in this karmic and got long enough, burned, you will be less dispassionate running around this hot plate. So this is something that comes over time, I think.
Thanks. Leo?
Yeah, I think that ahimsa, harmlessness, means that harmony, that you live in harmony with nature, live in harmony with everything around you. And basically, no killing, no violence. You don't violate the laws of nature, so to speak. Discrimination is, as America said, is the discrimination or discernments between the real and the unreal. In a higher sense, which means that our true self and our lower self, or in the physical world, what is impermanence and what is permanence. And vairagya is this passion, which means that we cut all the roots of our desirelessness. You don't have any more desire, personal desire. I mean, your lower self.
You? Shwet?
Yeah, I think that vairagya is very much about not being moved by pleasant, unpleasant experiences that we meet in our life. And that means, I think, that we have to be much less focused on our personality and have a much broader view on things. So, for example, if we understand that this life is just one of the many lives of a great path, and this moment or episode that we are living is just one episode in this one episode of the great picture, then somehow we become less attached to particular strong influences that come, pleasant and unpleasant. So I think it's very much connected with very broad view, spiritually speaking, somehow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a good one as well. Anyone else?
For me, ahimsa is interesting because I realize that a lot of times, at least for me, I forget that harmfulness towards oneself is also like against ahimsa. So there should be a way that an action or an intention is harmless towards everyone, including the self somehow. And that is a lot harder than just making sure that I am harmless towards everything else and I don't care about myself. Which initially I thought it is in opposite to the vairagya, that is like when I don't have any passion, I don't care about myself. But that's apparently like something that I'm learning right now. And after listening to Shwet just now, vairagya to me is also mean impersonal, which means that in the highest aspect, it can also mean that I don't have a personality at the end of that. Then therefore I don't have anything that can be limited, because everything that is personal is full of limitation. Not sure. Yeah, but that's my take.
Yes, thank you. That's good. Anyone that hasn't spoken that wants to speak? Fatima.
Just a small comment. I also feel in regards of vairagya, that we said about many times about detachment, no? So just not to be confused of, sometimes I really think when we are talking about higher principles and lower principles, and I honestly don't believe that it's about the physical. It's we have to disregard. The principle is one, the reality is one. We have a limited view. Maya is our limited view of the things, not the things themselves. Therefore, I really think that we, from my understanding, one have to give their best. But then vairagya means without attachment, from my understanding. So that doesn't mean that you don't put all your best on the table. You don't try to, yes, put all your bodies at the service, let's say. But that you are able to do that with all that energy and then detach, which is very difficult. Because when you get involved in the things, automatically there is an attachment, no? So you need to use the discrimination, so then you don't develop that attachment.
Thanks. Leo?
Relevant to what Fatima just said, the first step of the golden stair is a clean life, which means that you need to have a life first. So if you do everything and you sacrifice yourself, you do everything for everybody, and at the end of the day, you don't have a life. So how can you proceed to the next one? And in the Buddhist teachings, they always say that the body, or yourself as a human being, the body is a vehicle for use to learn, to study, to work, to serve humanity. But at the same time, we do have the responsibility of take care of ourselves. So we need to say no, learn how to say no when you need to say no. And of course, you say yes when you can say yes. So I think that make sure that you have a life first.
That's a good one. Wait, who said? Yes, there is no precept of losing one's head in the process. Actually, I think to add on to what Fatima said, right, I think one of the famous saying in the book, The Voice of the Silence, is to kill out all aspiration, but to work as though kill out is it aspiration or ambition? Sorry, kill out all ambition, but work as those who are ambitious.
Yes.
I think that exactly is what you're trying to put across. It is very difficult, definitely. You know, most of us when we do stuff, we definitely have some kind of attachment to the outcome. If not, we wouldn't be us. We would have been flying around in the mental plane with a golden light behind our head. You know, so I think that's a good one. Oh my gosh, it's so fast. It's already 5 minutes left. Yeah, I think, and on top of that, you know, how we would define and how we would relate these three principles: harmlessness, discrimination, and dispassion. Like as we have mentioned before, it is dynamic. It changes, and these three are pretty important because harmlessness, I think, is a guide for us in general how we should make a choice or how to do an action, feel a feeling, or make a thought. And the part about discrimination is where the definition of harmlessness is. And yet again, the part about dispassion gives us the objectivity of the first two principles. And the thing is, one can't work without each other as well. And of course, there's so much more to talk about. And there are really so many books. Like even here, I have like At the Feet of the Master. At the Feet of the Master, there are so many principles that we can go along. Not just the golden stairs, but even the noble eightfold path, stuff like that. But as all good things has to come to an end, we have 3 minutes left. Okay, let's do a very short meditation again. And I will have a little bit of lines that I will speak. So just about a minute. May the holy ones whose pupils we aspire to become show us the light we seek. Give us the strong aid of their compassion and their wisdom. There is a peace that passes understanding. It abides in the hearts of those who live in the eternal. There is a power that makes all things new. It lives and moves in those who know the self as one. May that peace brood over us, that power uplift us, till we stand where the one initiator is invoked, till you see his star shine forth. May the peace and blessing of the holy ones pour forth over us. May all beings know peace. Thank you, everyone.
See you in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully see you next week.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thank
see
you,
ya,
everyone. See you again soon.
See everyone. Nagesh.
Thanks so much. See you.
Yeah, see ya. Shreyas. Clover. Fifi. See ya, see ya.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Everyone's still here. Hey, why you not wearing clothes? Oh, you're unmuted, I cannot hear.